Hi gang, Rob here. It's the evening of 25 March 2016. And oh, what a delightful array of traditional pocket cutlery we have in front of the TheApostleP camera this evening. Let's see if we can figure out where this came from. We have a number 38 GEC Orchard Gem. We have a number 77 GEC Washington Jack with the spear main. We have another number 77 GEC with a spear main and a big old punch. We could call that a harness jack or a punch knife. We have a Tom's Choice Barlow from GEC with the spay main, pen secondary, a New Day knife. We have this gorgeous number 15 rope knife from GEC with the knurled bolsters and the rope twisted bail. And then we have a 2015 Blade Forums forum knife from Canal Street, a serpentine double end jack in beautiful Mexican Bacote wood. They all came to me brand new. Let's see, I'll give you a hint. You see 6 knives on the table. 5 of them are GECs, and all 5 of those are special factory orders by Charlie Campagna. Waynorth on the forums. They're all brand new in tube, by the way. Brand new in box for the Canal Street. Can you guess who they belong to? Yeah, they belong to Charlie Campagna. He sent them to me as a surprise, actually. He emailed me a few weeks ago, and I've only had one conversation with Charlie about a Washington Jack that I had that had a little issue that he replaced with a like knife that was absolutely perfect. And I guess he's been following my channel. Watching videos, and you guys know that we love to do traditional knives anthology installments with Charlie's SFOs because there's always such a great story that goes with them. So he sent me a box with 9 knives in it. You see 6 here. I kind of wondered why he was sending me a bunch of brand new GECs to sharpen. So I put together a quote for him, and then he emailed me back and asked if he could call me, and he did. And he said, I only want 3 sharpened. There's 6 new ones in there. I just thought you and your viewers would like to see them. So you're seeing them. We'll go through them in detail. And then I'm going to do another video from the sharpening bench video for the 3 knives that I sharpened for Charlie. And they're pretty special too. These are user knives, carry knives for the legendary Charlie Campagna. You can tell I'm pretty excited about these 2 videos and these 9 knives I got from Charlie. Here's something else pretty cool. 2 of these knives are staying with me, and they're staying with me because Charlie made it very attractive for a couple of them to stay. That's just a really cool thing. It's quite humbling, actually, that someone in the knife world of his stature saw enough value in what we do here to make a nice gesture. So at the end of the video, I want you to study these closely and try to guess which 2 I'm keeping. And let's see if you're right. We'll go through them, shall we? Let's kind of get them off the table, and we'll deal with them one at a time because they're all worth looking at. Oh, so worth looking at. Let's see, that's the harness jack. Okay. All right. Let's start with the Canal Street. So this is kind of neat because Canal Street, as you know, kind of very abruptly and without a lot of warning, at least not to the casual observer, went out of business several months ago. This, I believe, is one of the last knives they made. And you can see it says Blade Forums 2015 Serpentine Double End Jack in 440C stainless cutlery steel with their heritage shield. It comes in this beautiful green box in a nice little fabric pouch with a drawstring. Also comes with a registration card or a description of what the knife is, and the Canal Street warranty, which I believe is itself a collector's item at this point. So as you guys know, Canal Street is a company that hadn't been around that long, and an ambitious effort at the forefront of the traditional pocket knife renaissance, using mostly queen components, and some assembly and manufacture, maybe even some finish grinding was done in-house. This knife is pretty special. It is a serpentine pattern. It's a little larger than the number 48 pattern from Great Eastern Cutlery, but not significantly so. As you can see, there are no bolsters on the knife. Just very large nickel silver pivot pins and that heritage shield. And I want you to look at the Bacote wood on this knife. It is absolutely stunning. And I am generally not a big Bacote fan. I think sometimes it looks a little raw and rough and haggard. It sort of shows bleaching in an odd way, but this Bacote is absolutely gorgeous. Then the blade configuration, we've got a nice long, not quite a muskrat clip, but a very long pronounced clip. Set and finished blades, and some of the giveaways about who made these blades are evident. We've got sort of lazy plunge grinds, better on one side than the other as usual. Sharpening notches that don't quite clear the plunge grind, which gives us a little funkiness, a little recurve at the back of the edge. But the grinds are not wavy. I tend to think that Canal Street might have finish ground these, because they're very flat and the satin is very good, almost a la GEC. Just a beautiful blade. Light pull, maybe a 4. No half stops. Then the secondary blade is a nice Wharncliffe with a beautiful drawn swedge. Beefy little Warnie. And about the same. Some problems back in this area of the blade, but other than that, quite nicely done. Blades nestle nicely, and I don't think they're rubbing at all. Let's see. No, very well done. These knives, if you can find them, are selling for under $100. I gotta believe they're not going to be able to be purchased for $100 in a few years. Might be pretty collectible. Sort of a limited production knife, the last of its kind from a company that's no longer around, that really made a heck of an effort, made a heck of a go at it, really tried to do things right, Canal Street did. Just nicely done. Beautiful knife. A valid and significant piece in the collection of a great collector. Okay, let's get to the GEC stuff. First of all, we have the Orchard Gem. I'm not going to read you tube text from Charlie on these, but I will give you a chance to pause the video and read it for yourself. So here's the knife. And this is the number 38, and this was made basically in 2 configurations in early 2015. The 38s were being produced during my shop tour video at GEC just about a year ago. There was the number 38 Grinling Whittler, a genuine, authentic, very slim, very precise split back whittler. And then what was billed in pre-production as the John Chapman budding and pruning knife. That's Johnny Appleseed, for those of you not from the Midwestern United States. Johnny Appleseed, John Chapman, planted apple trees as he walked the earth, sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ and bringing people to know their Lord and Savior. A lot of people don't know that about Johnny Appleseed. But once these knives were made, I didn't really see them marketed as the John Chapman budding and pruning knife. I saw them marketed as a farmer jack, and then there were a couple SFOs. This one by Charlie, the Orchard Gem. And the Orchard Gem, or the Johnny Appleseed knife, features this gorgeous sort of hybrid hawkbill sheep's foot blade in beautiful satin with a gorgeous etch, drawn swedge. And this thing is complex, boys and girls. First, let's look at the swedge. On the mark side of the knife, it's a little smaller than the pile side. And notice how off-center the blade is ground. And that is to facilitate blade clearance. You'll notice they still didn't quite get there on this one. That mark in the satin is where the pen blade, actually the secondary spay blade, has rubbed the main blade. This is definitely a knife where you will want to open the secondary blade with the main blade open. At some point that didn't happen once because there is a little rub. And then this beautiful little spay. That, boys and girls, is how you execute the base of the edge on a traditional pocket knife. Look at that tight 90-degree plunge. The sharpening notch perfectly centered at the shoulder of the plunge. Just beautifully done. And then a nice, clean, non-pinched, non-lined, but rat tail bolster. So it looks like they sort of took a titty-ute knife, added rat tails to the bolsters, Charlie's SFO diamond shield, and put Charlie's etch on it. Just beautifully, beautifully done. Then we have the 2015 second run of the Washington Jack with the main spear. I have one of these and I have not shown it to you guys. Mine is in Gabon ebony. This is in beautiful, beautiful, smooth, blood red bone. And man, of all the smooth bones I've seen from GEC, this might be the most striking. Just look at that. Oh, gorgeous how it took the color. And the Washington Jack, of course, is modeled on what, a 1950s Schrade two-bladed jack. That was a clip and pen, as was the first run of Washington Jacks. And these bolsters and end caps are very faithful to that original Schrade design. Pinched, double-lined, and rat tail. And then with the unexcelled stamp in the end cap. I believe the Schrades said... What did the Schrades say? Old timer? I believe that's correct. Notice how everything's squared off. Just a beautiful knife. And I like it as a lefty. I like the two-bladed jacks where the nail nick for the secondary blade is on the back side or the pile side of the knife, because it gives me an opportunity to open a traditional pocket knife on the underside. Because I'm left-handed, so I'm usually pulling blades out the top. You righties think that looks funny. And these are just beautiful, luxurious knives, just perfectly executed. Beautiful. And then out of that same run, same knife, with a different secondary implement. Notice how the main blade is moved over to the pile side, and then the secondary implement isn't a knife blade. It is a honkin' punch. If this were a Swiss Army knife, they'd call this a reamer. You think you could make some belt buckle holes and some hide with that thing? I guarantee you could. What a stunning punch that is. Backside is brightly polished. Satin finish on the cutting edge side, with the heat treat scale still in the groove of the reamer. And you just sharpen this by holding it perpendicular to a stone, and you're just going to take material off here to dress up that cutting edge. Not too many of these out there in the supply among collectors. And it does come with a button. 10 years of harness jacks. This must be the 8th one, done by Great Eastern Cutlery. Why? Because it says HJ number 8. And now let's get to the 15s that Charlie sent. First, and this one's kind of a knife that I've seen available and have never purchased, and didn't really see much of an attraction to it. Got the New Day button with the sun rising and the rooster. Show you that close up. Cock-a-doodle-doo. There we go. So this is a number 15 Tom's Choice Barlow in Copperhead Pick Bone, they're calling this. Copperhead Pick Bone. I would have thought it was autumn gold peach seed jig bone, but that's not what it is. And it's a spay blade main. And I don't dislike spay blades, but I'm not particularly in love with them either. You guys know I'm kind of a clip guy. And frankly, in pictures, this never did much for me. And I don't know whether the video is going to really showcase it like it needs to be. But do you see the way that swedge works with the tip grind on that spay? The finish on that swedge is a little more matte than the satin on the main grind of the blade, and the contrast is unbelievable. And a perfectly proportioned spay. Nice proud brow here. And that long pole. Just gorgeous. And then this also has the backside nail nick for the pen secondary. Just a gorgeous little pen blade. This is an all steel knife. Liners are steel, not brass, as are the bolsters. And everything's beautiful. Butt of the knife is perfectly square. Blades are centered. Back spring termination is a hard time focusing. There we go. Look at them. They're gorgeous. She's a beauty. And then, oh guys, another number 15 pattern from 2015. And these knives went by so fast, if you blinked, you missed them. So essentially this is built on the boy's knife frame with a standard small bolster. But it's a rope knife. Now, what is a rope knife? Well, let's pull this blade out and I'll explain. You know what? Let's let Charlie explain, shall we? So here's this for you guys, and if you want to pause it and read it, you're welcome to. And now, you all can gaze upon the knife and I'll read it to you. Leaving port on a huge, well-equipped steamship is a thrill, no matter the reason. For war or for peace, there is an adventure ahead. The pocket knife issued to every sailor for World War I reflected the changing nature of the ships that sailed into harm's way. The new smaller knife, the old ones were 4.5 inches or so, followed the decrease in rope rigging on the large steel vessels in use, and also took on the role of an easily carried personal tool. We've tried here to give you a taste of that well-made tool. Use it to rig your sails, or to rig a tarp for shelter, to debark a walking stick, to make fuzz sticks to kindle your fire, spread marmalade on your toast. You'll find that the well-tempered carbon steel blade will take and hold a keen edge. We have equipped the knife with a bail, just like the original, so you can hang the knife on a worthy lanyard to secure it. Otherwise, we've kept it simple and to the point. Use this knife in good health and for a long time. Gather up experience with it and pass it on to your children. Oil the joints and eat your spinach. Have the best that life offers. Signed, Charlie Waynorth. Okay, let's look at this one closely, shall we? Let's back up my zoom here. Okay, lots of this is standard 15 fare. A tapered or sort of sleeve board shaped small jack. Remember, this is the boy's knife. Handle length about 3.5 inches. The blade is this sheep's foot on steroids. Notice how it is narrower at the base than it is at the tip. Much like, the Orchard Gem, except it has no concave profile on the cutting edge. It's dead straight, just like a sheep's foot. Now let's talk about what makes it really sort of different. Look at these bolsters. They are not lined. They're not rat-tailed. Look, that fluted rope emulating detail at the base of the bolster is actually raised from the polished surface of the bolster. Yeah. Looks like a rope, doesn't it? And what would a rope knife be used for? Well, you guys know if you've bought elephant toes or sunfish knives, you know that those knives, as well as this blade profile, would be used to cut a piece of rope. And not like this or like this. They would be set down on the rope on a wooden surface and then beaten on the spine with a wooden mallet, driving it through the rope. Which is why this sort of bulbous end here. Of course, this is a decked out sort of Northfield GEC, so we got a big machine swedge here. I would imagine the working knives on the open seas would have had full spine thickness most of the way out there for rapping with the hammer. Then we have this bail, our rope theme carried over once more. How about a little focus? There we go. Almost. There, look at that gorgeous piece of work. Look at the detail that went into that. And then perhaps the easiest to overlook but most stunning feature of the knife is the jigging in these bone covers. This is antique yellow jig bone. And I don't know that I've ever seen a jigging pattern that looks more random, more done by God than this. It is deep. It has character. This knife looks like it could have been made 100 years ago. It looks like some guy had these covers clamped in a wooden vise, and with a little mallet and some carving tools, applied this jigging pattern manually just to whatever he thought looked good. It's just awesome. What a beautiful, beautiful knife. And of course the easy open notch. And it's just right on time. Right on time. What a beauty. Well, that is it for the new in box, new in tube sample of Charlie's collection. Can you guess which two? You know, I've been hoping by the end of this video I would have been able to make a decision. Okay, here, you help me, guys. This one is definitely staying here. What else? What else? What else? So the rope knife is staying. And here are my two finalists for the other one. The historically significant Canal Street Serpentine double-end jack in Mexican Bacote, and the two-blade Tom's Choice A New Day Barlow with the most stunning spay blade I've ever seen. What's it gonna be, boys? What's it gonna be? I can't decide. You know what? I'm not gonna say this is binding, but let's see which one of these knives in the comments section of the video gets the most votes. Let's try that. Let's see where we come out. I'll do a follow-up video in a couple days and let you know what happened. That's it for tonight, my friends. It's Good Friday, by the way. The day that we choose every year to commemorate the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, his death on the cross, bearing the pain and the shame and the scourge of our sin, and accepting the just punishment for the sins of mankind by his death on the cross. Doesn't sound like a very good Friday, does it? But it is. It's a very, very good Friday. And you know why? Because Sunday is coming. He has risen. He has risen indeed. I hope you know him. And if you don't, I pray that you will. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.